Today, we're diving headfirst into an incredible true mystery, one about an immensely successful ancient ruler that history literally tried to bury forever. I mean, we are talking about a cover-up so massive and so meticulously executed that for thousands of years humanity completely forgot about one of the absolute greatest leaders of the ancient world.
Just imagine this for a second. You build towering monuments, you lead armies, you make your nation unbelievably wealthy. And then, someone spends years systematically destroying every single physical trace of your existence. They didn't just want you dead, they wanted to make it as if you had never even been born. And the absolute craziest part of all this, it wasn't because this ruler was a tyrant or a failure, it was because they were just too successful.
So the crucial question we have to ask right out of the gate here is, why? Why was this legendary woman, who ruled Egypt long before Cleopatra, by the way, targeted for total historical erasure? What exactly did she do that was so incredibly dangerous to the established order that her successors felt they literally had to chisel her name out of solid granite just to quiet her ghost? Well, let's get into Chapter 1, The Unexpected Regent. To really understand this, we have to go back nearly 3,500 years to when Egypt was at the absolute height of its power. The kingdom was overflowing with gold, they were dominating neighboring lands, and pharaohs, they were viewed as living gods on earth. It was this perfectly well-oiled machine of ancient supremacy, until a sudden crisis hit. And this sudden succession crisis really changed everything. Here's how it went down. First, the ruling pharaoh dies unexpectedly. Second, his only heir, a little boy named Thutmose III, is way too young to actually rule the most powerful nation on the planet. I mean, someone had to step in, right? So third, the boy's stepmother, Queen Hatshepsut, becomes the temporary caretaker, the regent. And honestly, at first, nobody questioned this. It was totally standard protocol. She was just supposed to hold the kingdom together until the kid came of age.
But moving on to Chapter 2, Claiming the Throne. As it turns out, this temporary regent had vastly larger ambitions brewing. See, Hatshepsut wasn't content just keeping the throne warm. She knew she had what it took to lead Egypt into a completely new era. But she needed a way to make it official, in a society with very strict rules about who got to wear the crown. Now, to claim real power in ancient Egypt, you didn't need votes, you needed divine approval. The pharaoh wasn't just some politician, they were the literal representative of the gods on earth. No divine backing, no crown. It was that simple. And Hatshepsut understood this political reality better than anyone.
So, what does she do? She executes one of history's smartest political campaigns. Step 1. Suddenly, new temple inscriptions start popping up everywhere, claiming that the mighty god Amun was her literal father. Step 2. With this divine narrative out there, she secures the absolute backing of the temples and the powerful priests. And finally, Step 3. With the god supposedly on her side, she seamlessly transforms from a mere temporary regent into the fully crowned pharaoh of Egypt. Pretty brilliant, right? Which brings us to Chapter 3, Redefining the Pharaoh. Because even with the gods on her side, Hatshepsut still faced one massive, glaring problem. Egyptian pharaohs, for centuries, had always been men. Queens were common, sure, but the ultimate seat of power was strictly masculine. So instead of trying to overhaul ancient tradition to accommodate a female ruler, she did something genius. She changed herself to fit the tradition. While queens were usually depicted in these slender dresses, Hatshepsut adopted the unquestionable visual language of a king. I'm talking broad shoulders on her official statues, the royal kilt, the striped headdress, and yes, even the ceremonial false beard. But crucially, this wasn't some biological deception. Many of her official temple inscriptions still proudly referred to her as she, or daughter of Re. It was this incredibly powerful symbolic manipulation. She wasn't pretending to be a man. Actually, scratch that. She was completely redefining what a pharaoh could even be. Let's look at Chapter 4, A Golden Age, because the kingdom absolutely accepted her new definition of power, and it kicked off a seriously amazing era. Her reign ushered in this fascinating time focused entirely on prosperity rather than warfare. Instead of sending armies out to conquer and just drain the treasury, she looked to trade. Her economic genius is perfectly illustrated by this massive naval expedition down the Red Sea to the legendary land of Punt. Her ships came back absolutely loaded, not just with gold and ivory, but live monkeys, leopards, frankincense, and literally entire living myrrh trees with their roots still packed in baskets.
She brought unimaginable riches back to Egypt without firing a single arrow. And what do you do with all that wealth? Well, she transformed it into immortality. She cemented her legacy in stone with these breathtaking architectural masterpieces. Her absolute crowning achievement was the mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, this stunning multi-tiered complex built directly into towering cliff faces. She also ordered these gigantic granite obelisks, weighing hundreds of tons each. Every column, every terrace, every statue boldly declared one message: she unequivocally belonged on that throne.
And honestly, the numbers back her up. She enjoyed over 20 years of peaceful, prosperous rule, 2 decades of architectural triumphs and economic booms. By literally every metric, she was one of the greatest pharaohs Egypt ever had.
But then we hit Chapter 5, The Great Erasure, because after 2 glorious decades, Hatshepsut passed away. And soon after, the mystery we introduced at the very beginning returns with a vengeance. We really have to ask why someone, and most historians point the finger at her stepson and successor, Thutmose III, would suddenly decide to smash her beautiful statues, aggressively destroy her face on carvings, and painstakingly chisel her name from every temple wall in the empire. I mean, why spend so much physical labor to systematically destroy a golden legacy?
Look at the sheer, brutal effort it took to wipe out an entire 20-year reign. Whether it was fueled by personal revenge from a stepson tired of waiting for his turn, or a cold, calculated move to restore the male line of kings so future queens wouldn't get any ideas, the result was exactly the same. The destruction was so thorough that it actually worked. Hatshepsut simply disappeared from human memory for thousands of years. Just gone.
Until Chapter 6, Rediscovering Hatshepsut. Because, as it turns out, you can't completely erase someone who built on such a massive scale.
Over the last century and a half, modern archaeologists finally started finding the clues, brushing the sand away from hidden inscriptions that those ancient chisels missed. Digging up deliberately broken statues that had been dumped in pits, they slowly pieced the fragments together. And out of the dust emerged the truth of her magnificent reign. They found the woman who refused to let ancient traditions define her destiny.
Ultimately, the failure to completely erase Hatshepsut leaves us with a pretty fascinating truth. Power doesn't just belong to those who inherit it. It belongs to those bold enough to claim it. Her story survived the chisels of her enemies, which really makes you wonder, how many other incredible leaders has history successfully managed to hide? And what does it truly take to ensure your legacy survives the ultimate test of time? Keep that question in mind as you continue exploring the untold stories of our past.